In the headlines, death toll from offensive on terrorists in Zamfara rises as military warns residents to stay indoors. APC presidential candidate meets organized labor, promises pension reforms and others. President Buhari, others mourn death of former Nigerian ambassador to South Africa, Shehu Malami. And away from Nigeria, Argentina's World Cup winners arrive home to heroes' welcome. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for joining. And now the details. Death toll from the attacks on invading terrorists by military continues to rise after days of intense offensive on armed criminals, troops and vigilantes. Residents of the troubled community said over 68 persons killed have been buried and about 40 others sustained injuries. Reports say that the military had warned the surviving residents in the villages to remain indoors. More troops are being deployed and heavily armed soldiers in armored vehicles have rolled into Ansado community. The report.
According to the locals, the military airstrike engaged in a gun battle with the suspected terrorists for 2 days at Malele community, which forced the terrorists to retreat and hide in the community. Saidu Ishaka is one of the residents of the community who escaped the air bombardment. He narrated that he fell down twice because of the vibration. When he stood up, he saw several dead bodies lying on the ground. He confirmed that 68 members of the community killed in the incident have been buried, while 12 out of the 40 injured were brought to Yeriman Bakura Specialist Hospital in Gusau.
Everything all started like a drama. People left their business places. After some days, we heard a sound, and people began to run for their lives. I heard a sound, and due to the vibration, I fell on the ground. And afterwards, I saw so many dead bodies on the ground.
Another resident of the Ansado Emirate said the terrorists mobilized other groups to launch attack on the Malele community when the military promptly responded to distress call with fighter jets.
So the incidents had happened on Saturday when an invitees of bandits tend to overcome Malele 124 community because they deny consensus with the bandit leaders. So they attempt to fall on them and clear their community in order to have a franchise or the right for them to interact and cross the community area with their cattle and then to continue with their normal activity.
The Zamfara State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, retired DRG Mamman Safi, urged the military to speed up efforts to weed out the suspected terrorists.
Visit and assess those victims who happened to fall and the recent action of the military on bandits. I can see there are some casualties, some people who sustain several degrees of injury, and I'm very sure the chairman of the local government and his member are here trying to respond to whatever request. The statistics is still going on, and we want to be accurate. It's going on.
The 12 victims of the incident who were brought to Yeriman Bakura Specialist Hospital in Gusau for immediate medical attention have been badly wounded in the attacks.
Daily Trust correspondent in Zamfara, Shehu Umar, has more updates on this.
There are reports that fighting is still ongoing in parts of Ansado Emirate, in more local government area of Zamfara state. It took about 3 days now. There was a heavy casualty on the parts of the armed criminals and the local residents who were killed by NAF airstrikes in a bid to repel attack on some of the communities there. But this morning we got information that fighting is still ongoing in around Malele area in Moro local government. And as we reported yesterday, there was deployment of heavily armed soldiers to the affected communities. Soldiers in armored vehicles have rolled into Lansado, and later they moved to the affected villages. And the military had earlier warned the residents to stay indoors. So it looked like the residents have heeded the warning of the military. And it was learned that this morning that there are some kidnapped victims, about 9 of them, that were freed after the incident. The information available showed that their captors were killed in the fight. So they set themselves free and came back to their houses. And people are being brought to Lansado General Hospital for medical attention. Even this morning, survivors suffering from gunshot wounds were brought to the hospitals, and some were referred to Federal Medical Center in Gusau, the state capital. And the tension is still high in the area.
11 females have been reported dead following an auto crash along Kano Zaria Expressway. The accident, which occurred on Saturday evening around 5 p.m., involved a Toyota C20 bus and a Hilux van. An eyewitness explained that the incident was caused by overspeeding. Meanwhile, efforts to rescue the victims were thwarted due to a ravaging fire that engulfed the vehicles. And now to political matters. Presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, says he will prioritize reforms in the pension and mortgage systems in the country if elected president. Tinubu, who made the promise at a parley with the organized labor and civil society in Abuja, also says his administration will have zero tolerance for corruption by making life affordable to the people. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports.
Responding to demands of the organized labor, the APC presidential candidate says addressing the plight of workers and the ordinary people, in addition to deploying technology, is a panacea to tackling corruption in the country. He also highlighted his past record of fighting corruption while serving as Lagos State Governor, lashing at the PDP for spending $16 billion without fixing electricity problem in the country.
There are so many poor families in Lagos alone. Nobody paid for any examination fee before I left the office. No one, no matter how poor you are, you can't drop out. No one is left behind. Now you have a federal government. Put me in charge. There will be student loans. 4 years course will be 4 years only.
Tinubu says reforming the nation's pension administration and creating an effective and affordable mortgage system will provide relief to the Nigerian workforce, while assuring of setting up agricultural processing zones in the country to make it attractive and profitable.
We must do more to address the social needs of workers and improve the wages. We must do more to support housing, pension, mortgage reforms, like it has been already mentioned by Comrade Oshiomhole. Why do you get employed now for 30 years job and they make pension contribution, and it's time to put a shelter on your head? They ask you to bring 8 to 10 million deposit.
Leaders of the organized labor said their members across the country will align with social progressives to move the country forward.
See, one important issue, which I think is also important to every Nigerian, is the issue of the quality of education that we have today. It's so unfortunate that as we speak, 20 million of our kids are out of school. That cannot be acceptable, and I think that should be a concern. If we breed a group of people that are uneducated, then we are breeding insecurity, we are breeding also social instability in our country.
Today, the minimum wage is 30,000 naira. As when this was negotiated, and when the implementation started in 2019, what was the value of dollar? What was the real value of this 30,000 naira? But today, that 30,000 naira has depleted in value. Today, 30,000 naira cannot even pay our transport to work.
Speaker of the House of Representatives, APC governors, former NLC Chairman Adams Oshomole, amongst other party chieftains, attended the parley. Shapir Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has assured the people of Southern Kaduna of maximum security. He stated this during his interaction with the people of Southern Kaduna in Kafanchan, the headquarters of Jama local government area. Atiku Abubakar, who also commiserated with the people of Southern Kaduna on the recent killings, explained that insecurity is not only affecting Southern Kaduna but a national phenomenon. He said that the people should expect restructuring of the police, creation of state police to supplement the Nigerian police. He promised that Southern Kaduna will feel the presence of federal government if voted into power. The presidential candidate met with Muslim clerics at Jama Central Mosque in Kafanchan and met with Christian clerics at the Throne Room Trust Ministry. The Vision Pioneer Throne Room Trust Ministry, Apostle Dr. Emmanuel Kure, urged all watchmen to hold hands and pray for the success of the country's 2023 elections. Ahead of the 2023 general elections, women in the private sector and their counterparts in politics are creating alternative ways to ensure that more women are represented in the elective positions to provide access to leadership opportunities for other women. This was part of the deliberations at the consultative dialogue involving Nigerian female governorship candidates across political parties and other stakeholders. The report.
About 93.5 million have registered to vote in the 2023 elections, with women constituting 50.80 million of the figures. In contrast, they earn 36% less than their male counterparts, according to the World Economic Forum. But these stakeholders are seeking ways women can convert their numbers to strength and rally around each other to support the emergence of more women in elective positions, especially at the governorship level.
We actually want to understand what the women in politics, especially those of them that are running for gubernatorial positions, a lot of them have experienced a lot of things on the field. So we want to understand what their pain points are. We want to know what are the areas that we can identify that we can begin to influence some of our members to begin to find ways to support. And so it is our hope and our expectation that we will be able to translate that same kind of experience or our competence and expertise in order to ensure that the women in politics here also gain what they are supposed to gain.
As women's political representation has been on a steady decline from 1999 to date. Women currently occupy only 3.8% of parliamentary seats across the nation and state levels. No woman has ever been elected as governor in the history of elections in Nigeria.
For effective representation and gender equity to be achieved, the need for constitutional reforms is again brought to the fore, among other factors that enhance women participation.
The need for constitutional reform is apt to erase all obstacles to their aspirations. Nigeria, as a member of regional and international community of nations, signed on to promoting and ensuring protection and participation of women in all facets of life.
the political finances, us being able to find creative ways to campaign instead of doing the usual morning campaign and having the jamborees and all of that. We found out different strategies and approaches to be able to campaign and reach the people. Right now, I'll tell you, we've gone to, out of 25 local government, we've gone to about 18 already. And we found other less expensive ways to go about that.
To close the gender gap in leadership and politics, these stakeholders say it requires a paradigm shift that will elevate the status and influence of women and their contribution to nation building. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Nigeria's Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Pauline Tallen, on Monday decried what she called systematic women phase-out by political parties in the country from taking part in electoral contest. The minister raised the concern while delivering scorecard of her ministry at the ongoing ministerial series anchored by the Ministry of Information and Culture in Abuja, the nation's capital. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports.
Tallen, who spoke about the milestones achieved by her ministry in the last 7 years through various women empowerment initiatives anchored on sustained advocacy, also decried what she called marginalization of women on the political front.
My heart bleeds. I'm not happy with all our political parties as far as women issues are concerned. Our political parties, all of them, are not fair to women. It's not that we don't have qualified women to contest, but along the way, you know, everything takes place within the party structure. If you are not within the party structure in the party secretariat, you will be phased out.
The minister is also worried over the rise in gender-based violence in the country, calling on the Ministry of Justice to work towards speedy conviction of perpetrators of violent acts against the feminine gender to serve as deterrence to others, just as she makes case for the rescue of abducted girls in the hands of terrorists.
It is not the ministry that persecutes, it's the justice. Ministry of Justice is our courts. We are calling on our courts to please, in the name of God, treat pending cases so that the victims will have succor.
The Minister of Information and Culture had, on the sideline of the briefing, clarified claims around the lifting of suspension on a social blogging site, Twitter.
7 days after the suspension, precisely on June 11, 2021, we received a letter addressed to Mr. President from Twitter's Vice President in charge of public policy, Europe, Middle East and Africa, Sinead McSweeney, seeking to meet with us on the Twitter suspension.
Nigerian government, through the ministry, also made public communications between it and the owners of the microblogging site to support its claim. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching the news update on Trust Television. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at why marriages are delayed in Gombe. Details of this and more after the break.
Trust TV. documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. This is the news update on Trust Television. Here's a look at the top stories again. Death toll from offensive on terrorists in Zamfara rises as military warns residents to stay indoors. APC presidential candidate meets organized labor, promises pension reforms. In other news, speed limit violation is a source of worry to the Federal Capital Territory Directorate of Transport and Road Service. The Directorate wants road users to adhere to traffic rules while on the roads throughout the Yuletide period. Kabir Lawal tells us more.
Movement of people increase during festive period as people travel to celebrate with loved ones.
Eze Joseph Chiwendu, in charge of Directorate of Road Traffic Service, Idu Railway Station,
cautioned drivers to adhere to traffic rules, noting that the Directorate will not relent in arresting traffic rules violators.
Some people look and scare us about VIO. The penalty we give are not the way the society looks at it. Sometimes we go corrective. If we see them certain things that public don't know, we correct you in that aspect, warn you on that aspect, and allow you to go. As the first person or the first offender on that particular issue. But if you are caught in next time, we will give you a punitive correction. Punitive in the sense that we feel the pains not to do it again by finding you on that particular offense you committed. Like you see it, I know this is in Bamut. I don't need to be questioned or be told by my zonal or by my director or my DD Ops what to do. They know I can do it better. I have to be here early and ensure and align officers on the road to make sure the traffic flows very well, especially at this Mba month. Like you see my officers, no arrest is going on. They make sure that there is free flow of traffic, and that will help me as well when the traffic is going very well.
A cross-section of car owners have said the command should be considerate in taking punitive measures, as it is everyone's responsibility to make the roads safer.
Now, on a sad note, President Muhammadu Buhari has described the death of former Nigerian ambassador to South Africa, Shehu Malami, as sad and shocking. Buhari said his passing is a big loss to the country, sending his condolences to the family. Similarly, Arewa Consultative Forum, in a statement signed by its Secretary General, Muratala Aliyu, mourns the demise of its chairman, Board of Trustees, Ambassador Shehu Malami. Ambassador Shehu Othman Malami died in Cairo, Egypt on Monday. The former diplomat held the traditional title of Sarakin Sudan and district head of Urno. Malami was born on November 14, 1937 in Sokoto. The late district head of Urno was chairman, board of directors of many banks, multinational companies, and a businessman.
Investment that I made small amount of money, but the returns were very they are very valuable returns. Small amount of money will go so far away. So if you get about 5 or 6 dividends, this was enough for you to bring my Joda, bring Amin Dantata, bring all of you. Show that you could establish something that people could be proud of. Otherwise, why should I go to Asaba? Only because Philip Asiodo was also associated with me. Then he wanted to come with us. I mean, Dantata in Kano, he wanted to come with us to join together. So that is idiom of, well, there's only one country. We must all work together.
The high cost of living in the country has affected virtually every sphere of life, with relationships not spared, as some eligible bachelors are blaming their inability to get married to the harsh living conditions of today's Nigeria. From Gombe State, Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail reports that some young Nigerians in the state are lamenting how the high cost of living is affecting their relationships. The report.
35-year-old Sani Jibrin is an information technology specialist based in Gombe. He is built to get married in barely a month's time. With the current economic hardship in the country, Jibrin said things have become complicated.
Because whenever you engage yourself in marriage, you have to provide all the needs for the family, and in this situation, which is the current situation, the economic situation we are now, Gaskia is very hard now for the family man to provide, because everybody now can see, before we are buying things cheaper like rice, which is commodities, but now things are not being the same for long now. And the money that we are earning, we are getting now, maybe you are earning maybe 50,000 a month. I don't think that 15,000 naira will sustain you for the month, you and your family, even you alone.
He believes that most unmarried youth in the country cannot afford to cater for a family because of the high cost of living.
Before you can plan a wedding with $1 million with 1 million naira, now you can't. 2 million naira cannot do that for you.
Nura Sunusi is 32. He is yet to get married due to the current economic hardship in the country.
With
the current economic condition, if you don't have a job, you can't marry because you can't keep a wife with nothing to feed her. Although some unmarried Nigerians blame their status on the high cost of living, other married couples say they are managing life with the little they have.
The idea of them, they should rise up, either you are a Muslim or you are Christian, follow the real religion, and always entering imam or pastor to advise you and make sure that you look for a job. Before you get a job, my youth of nowadays, they didn't respect their elders.
The Northeast region, which has the poorest population in the country, is again at the receiving end of crashing relationships as marriages are hitting the rocks due to the harsh economic condition in the country. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
And now in sports news, Argentina's World Cup winning squad arrived home to jubilant Buenos Aires in the early hours of Tuesday morning, with massive crowds lining the streets and cheering their champion's return. Captain Lionel Messi stepped off the plane first, holding the gold trophy aloft, followed by his triumphant team onto a red carpet at the airport, greeted by reporters, officials and a live band. As the team bus departed from the airport, it was immediately swarmed by cheering supporters dressed in the national colors of blue and white. The team bus inched forward slowly behind a police escort, surrounded by the tens of thousands of people waving the Argentine flag and setting off firecrackers in the night. And that's a wrap on Trust News Update. Watch more via all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube channel. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.